Hi, welcome to the live session. Today we will be discussing a writing module of IELTS. Let's wait for 2 minutes. Let others also join. Some of them have joined, some others are joining only. Let us wait for 2 minutes. I think most of them have joined. Welcome to all. My name is Joy. I am one of the IELTS trainers in Envertiz Academy. Today's subject that we discuss is writing task. In writing task itself, particularly we will be discussing writing task 1. When we talk about writing task 1, it's very easy and simple because you don't require any special knowledge to write task 1. Whatever data is given, just explain it. That's all. And in this writing task, you have to utilize only 20 minutes in the 1 hour because for both task 1 and task 2, 1 hour is allotted. For task 1, you have to spend only 20 minutes and 40 minutes should be utilized for writing task 2. And in academic task 1 writing, you can use around 3 or 4 paragraph maximum, and the number of words should not exceed 170 and it should be minimum 150. If you exceed above 170, you may not get enough time to write task 2. So let us come to the structure of the essay. And before that, we can say there are different types of essays. We have line graph, table, pie chart, map, process, bar chart, and there are many. And in all these maps and graphs, you have to summarize the data, you have to select the data, and you have to compare the data. Now let us move to the structure of the essay. The structure is very simple. You have to write an introduction, then you have to write overall, then the key figures or data what is given in that chart. And let's see how to write the introduction. Introduction is the first paragraph, and the first paragraph you have just to paraphrase the question. Paraphrase means write the question in your own words without changing the meaning. And when you write the introduction, you can even write a one sentence paragraph. Usually when you write a paragraph, there should be more than one sentence. But in IELTS task 1 writing, in the introduction as well as in overall, even if you write one sentence as a paragraph, it is accepted. And when you write the introduction, you are paraphrasing the question in this way. You have to write what, when, where, and the type of question and the title plus the date of graph. Maximum 2 sentences only you need to write. Even if it is a single sentence, it is fine. And let us see how to write the overall. Overall means it's an overview of graph, or in other words, we can say in a bird's eye view, what all things you can see. So when you write an overall in the beginning, you should start with overall or in an overview. Then write whatever details are given there. And the thing that you have to keep in mind when you write an overall is that you should not use any data, and you should not write any numbers, as well as do not include any statistics in overview. Just write what can be seen from an overall perspective. After writing overall, then you have to write a body paragraph. You can even write one body paragraph. If required, you can write the second body paragraph, only the factual description. And when you write body paragraph, please mind that do not write any personal opinions. Write only the whatever the data is given there, don't add anything. No additional knowledge. You may be well aware about that particular topic, but whatever is given there only to be mentioned, do not add anything, and don't include any personal pronouns like me, I, myself, yourself, like that. Personal pronoun also should not be used. Now let's see how a graph is to be explained. An example is given as a line graph. So the line graph says there are two line graphs. The first one is the percentage of household with electrical appliances, and second one number of hours of housework per week per household from 1920 to 2019. So let us start with the introduction, means paraphrase the question. So since there are two line graphs, you have to write introduction for both. First one, percentage of household with electrical appliances, you can say the number of household who have different electrical appliances like washing machine, refrigerator, and vacuum cleaner. And the second line graph discusses the number of hours people worked in their household per week. Housework such as washing clothes, preparing meals, and cleaning. Okay, both these sentences can be written in one paragraph. And in the next paragraph, you have to write overall. Here also, when you write overall, you have to write overall for the first graph and even the second one also. The first one you can write, it can be clearly seen that you can start with the overall, it can be clearly seen that the number of household appliances were going on increasing, or the number of houses which have these electrical appliances were going on increasing, whereas the number of hours work done was going on decreasing. Okay, then you can come to the body paragraph. When you write the body paragraph, you can write first for the first line graph. Here you can say, first you can start with the washing machine. You can say in 1920, 40% of houses had washing machine, which was the highest number. And by 1940, we can see the number of houses who had washing machine has increased to 60%. And again, by 1960, there was a gradual increase, and the number of houses who had washing machines rose to 70. Then by 1980, we can see the number has come down to around 60. Then from 1980, we can say the number of houses which had washing machine was going on increasing gradually, and by 2019, above 70% of houses had washing machine. Here. Then second, we can say vacuum cleaner. Around 30% of household had washing machine in 1920. But from there, you can see by 1980, there was a sharp increase in the number of houses who had vacuum cleaner. Around 90% of household had a vacuum cleaner. And by 2000, almost 100% houses had vacuum cleaner, and it remained the same till 2019. Another interesting feature is that in 1920, no houses had refrigerator. But by 1940, more than 50% of houses had refrigerator, and it was going on increasing, and by 1960 we can see almost 90% of houses had refrigerator, and by 1980 100% of houses had a refrigerator, and it remained constant still till 2019. So that's very interesting feature in this line graph. Okay, then come to the next graph, number of hours per week per household. We can see that in 1920, around 50 hours people worked per week in their household, work such as washing clothes, preparing meals, and cleaning. But the number of hours per week was come down to 20 hours per week by 1960. And again, we can see that the number of hours of work was going on decreasing, and by 2019, only 10 hours people worked per week in their house. So naturally, what we can say is that people may write different logic for that. Some may say due to the invention of different electrical appliances, people start number of hours of work has come down. Whatever it be the reason, you should not write any logic, any reason behind, because it is not given. So whatever is not given should not be mentioned. So you should mention only the time, how much time has come down, how much time they used in 1920, 1940 or 1960, whatever the year. You should need to mention only that one. You should not write any reason or logic behind that one. Okay. And another thing, another mistake which commonly happens in the first graph is that here most of the students write, what they write is that the number of washing machine has increased, or refrigerator has gone up, or vacuum cleaner has been rose, vacuum cleaner has been risen. In that way only people may write. That is not the right one. It is not the number of washing machine or refrigerator or vacuum cleaner. It is the number of household. How many houses had this particular electrical appliances, that is to be clearly written. Otherwise, you don't get any score. These two things you should be careful while writing this task 1. I think it is time for a short break. Welcome back. And the next we will see a bar chart, how a bar chart is to be explained. And here you can see the gross domestic product from IT and service industry of the UK. It is given in percentage. So you have to write an introduction. Introduction should be written the proportion, or you can say the given below bar chart compares the GDP from IT industry and service industry of the UK. Then overall, what can be said as overall? It's very clear that overall you can write in this way. Overall, it is clear that IT industry had given more GDP when compared to the service industry throughout the years. That's enough for overall. Then in bar chart, what you need to write is that in each year, don't mention each and everything. Which year it was the lowest and which year it was the highest, and the major difference, which year it had got major difference between these two sections. For example, I can say when we can start with the 1992. In 1992, GDP growth or GDP from IT industry was just above 6%, which was the lowest. Whereas in 2000, it was above 14%, and that was the highest. Similarly, GDP growth or GDP from Service industry was the lowest in 1992, which was only 4%, but in 2000 it was the highest, it was the double, or you can say it was 8%. So you need to say measure these two things, highest and lowest of both the things. Then you can say there was not much difference in the GDP of IT as well as service industry in 92, 94 and 96. But in 1998 and 2000 you can see there is a huge difference. In 1998 GDP from service industry was just below 8, but from IT industry was around 12%. Similarly, in 2000, GDP from service industry was only 8%, whereas GDP from IT industry was around 15%. These are the things you need to write. You need to write only these two main details. Other things, even if you do not write, you don't bother about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now let us see a pie chart. I will show you different types of pie chart. And this pie chart is a single one. Here the question is given, the chart below shows the proportions of graduates from Brighton University in 2019 entering different employment sectors. So here you can write introduction, you paraphrase the question, you can say that the given pie chart explains the number of graduates working in different sectors who passed out in 2019 from Brighton University. So introduction is over, then you can write overall you can say more number of students were employed in service industries. That's all. More number of students were employed in service industries and the least number of students were engaged in sports. Or least number of graduates were engaged in sports. Then you can write the paragraph. There in paragraph you can say 33% of, there you are talking about the number. 33% of graduates chose service industries, whereas only 16.3% of people were interested in manufacturing industry. Only 14.7% graduates continued their education field, whereas 12.1% students only were interested in politics and government. And other details, if you want, you can say, if you find you have enough time, or if you need, or the number of words were not sufficient, you can write the other details also, even though it is not necessary. Even if you don't write that one, no problem, because you already mentioned in overview the least one. But if you have time and the number of words is not sufficient, you can write the other things: transportation, science and technology, charity, civil service, and other things also you can mention. It all depends on the situation. So this is the way you have to write pie chart. And then I am showing you another pie chart where you have to compare two pie charts with the same data. So the pie chart show information about energy production in a country in two separate years, in 1995 and 2000. So you can write the introduction in such a way, the pie charts show or explains or compares the information about the generation of energy in a country in different years or in 1995 and 2000. Next paragraph, you have to write overall. Overall, what can be written? It can be clearly seen that coal and gas were used to produce the highest amount of energy in 1995 as well as in 2005. Okay, then you come to the paragraph. In the first paragraph, you can write in 1995, 29.8% of energy was produced from coal, but in 2000 it increased to 30%, 93%. 30.93%. Similarly, from gas, 29.63% electricity was produced, but in 2005 it increased to 30.31%. Likewise, from nuclear, only 6.40% energy was produced, but in 2005 it was 10.10%. And when you come to the other resources, we can say only 4.90% was produced from other sources in 1995, but in 2000 almost double amount of energy was produced from other resources. Next, if you want, you can write this next sentence in a different paragraph, or you can write in the same paragraph. On the other hand, 29.27% electricity was produced from petrol, but in 2005 it has come down to only 19.55% of energy was produced from petrol. So here what you have to keep in mind, which I have seen that many students write in this way only. 29.80% coal was produced in 1995, whereas in 2005, 30.93% of coal was produced, or gas was produced, nuclear was produced. It is not that nuclear. This is a source of energy. So you have to specifically write that 29.80% of energy was produced using coal, or energy was produced from coal. These are the sources of energy. So that much of energy was produced from that particular source. So that is to be specifically written. What I have seen is that students used to write this much of gas was produced or other nuclear was produced. It is not the nuclear. From there, energy was produced. So this is to be noted. Now let's see another pie chart where the data are different. Two pie charts, different data. The pie charts below show the most common advantages and disadvantages of Bowen Island according to a survey of visitors. So you have to write in your own words. Introduction. The pie charts compares the drawbacks and benefits of Bowen Island as per a survey by the visitors. Whatever it may be, you can write in a different way also. But only thing, meaning should not be changed. The main words should be changed. Then you have to overall. Overall, so you can say most of the visitors were of the opinion that high cost of living was the disadvantage, and the scenery was the advantage. That was the opinion of the most of the people who attended the survey. Then you come to the paragraph. You can write the first paragraph, that disadvantages. You can say 50% of people find high cost of living as the disadvantage, whereas a quarter portion of people noted entertainment as the most common disadvantage. 15% of people are of the opinion that weather is the most common disadvantage. A least number, that's a 10% of people opinion that food quality was the most common disadvantage. And in the second paragraph, we can write the advantages. 42% of people are of the opinion that the people are the most common advantage. Or you can say 42% of visitors are of the opinion that the people are the most common advantage in this Bowen Island. 35% of people said that the scenery is the most common advantage. And almost equal amount of people, 11% people as well as 12% people are of the opinion that good communication and culture are the most common advantage of Bowen Island. So these are the data you need to write. You don't write any other data, even though which are not mentioned here. Okay. These are the different types of tasks which we discussed. Different types of pie charts. First we discussed a single pie chart, then a pie chart with same data, two pie charts with different data. Then I would like to share some of the tips. When you write or when you discuss or describe a pie chart or whatever be the chart, never mention x-axis or y-axis. And again, a confusion among the people is that we can write 10% in denomination as well as in weights 10%. Both are correct. But never write 10% which is not correct. It is a common mistake that we listen in everyday life. People say 50%, 100%, 80%. That is not the correct usage. You have to use, if you are using a number, it is 8% or 10%. And you can say the sentence in a percentage. If you want to use percentage, you can say the percentage of visitors was 90, or the percentage of mark I secured was 100. I secured 100% of mark is not correct. I secured 100% mark. That is to be noted. So these are the things I wanted to share with you today. Before concluding, let me answer the questions which has been asked by some of the viewers. One question is that, can we write overall at the end of the essay? Yes, the question is correct. You can write either after introduction or at the end of the essay. But we do not recommend that to write the end of the essay, because there is a possibility that you may forget to write overall at the end because you are in a hurry to write task 2. So it is always advisable you follow that pattern. Introduction, overall, then paragraph. So you may not forget write overall. Why I say so? If you write a good introduction and clear overall, you will get half the score. Even you could not properly write the paragraph, half the score will be available you will receive half the score if you write a proper introduction and a good overall. If you have any other queries, you can ask and it will be answered in our next session. And thank you for joining this session. Okay.